So it's 6:05, and we can make this meeting open. What do you have for us, Mr. Principal Assessor?
I will read the public access notice. Due to a public safety concern regarding COVID-19 pandemic, this meeting will be open to the public through remote participation only. The meeting will be accessible to the public via audio conferencing capabilities by telephone. If you would like to listen live, please dial 425-436-6392 and enter the access code 604239 to join the teleconference. Please be advised that the chairman may not allow questions from the listening public.
Thank you.
So you have a taxpayer here for a 6:10 p.m. appointment. So when we go into executive session, you can meet with the taxpayer.
Yeah.
In public session, I don't have any announcements to make other than some old business, which you have before you, a copy of correspondence from Attorney James Burke.
I saw that. What does Mr. Burke want these days? Are we going to discuss that in the executive session?
No, this is open session. It's a pretty straightforward issue for the Board of Assessors. This is land that is in Chapter 61A. And there's a land swap involved. There's 17,500 square feet that are being swapped from Mr. Azak to an abutter, Mr. Lucini.
Is it quote unquote an official swap or something they've worked out with things in the background that we don't know about, like the new boat or something?
No, I would say it's an official swap. What's transpiring here is a buildable lot was chunked out from a budding parcel, and
So they assembled somehow?
in order to get some road access and utility access, the abutter needed 17,500 square feet in front, so he's going to swap out 17,500 square feet in back with the abutter. So this is just a matter before the Board of Assessors, as it is before several other boards, as to whether or not the board would recommend to the Board of Selectmen if they would favor the right of first refusal, and I would recommend that the board not favor the right of first refusal.
So, let me get this clear.
Sure.
As we, in my office, we do all kinds of stuff, and not normally, we just tried a big 61 case down in Rochester. And there was no swapping involved, but you gotta be careful. Is that land, not being familiar with it, obviously, the land in question, is that part of the roll down? Or is it street frontage, or what is it? You gotta.
There's a plan in the total packet. So, sorry, I have my back to you.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, that's all right. Just want to get it clear.
So on Southgate Ave,
Yep.
Ames Drive is a cul-de-sac. Lucini cut a piece of land out here as a buildable lot. He needed additional land to conform with the zoning requirements. So Azak, who owns the land here, is swapping out 17,500 square feet.
For what? For monetary? No.
It doesn't even state, it's a
Yeah.
swap. So there's, which makes this a little bit unusual, because even though it's right of first refusal under Chapter 61A, there's no money involved. It's just a swap.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So,
Typically or ordinarily, these things are just automatic. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
You just I want to be careful. That's all.
yeah,
So the land, acquiring this will give him a buildable lot.
yes.
Yeah. Otherwise, on its own merit,
And
it's not buildable.
I think it also clears up an issue of an easement, a utility easement. Because we.
This is not the one we talked about the other night with you, is it?
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay. Now, you've looked at it with your big old magnifying glass, and you recommend. I apologize. I'm just.
No, it's okay.
It's just thrown at me right here, and I'm sure there's no there's no huge motivation or something that we could screw up here without really. I could take a couple weeks and try to look at it.
Yeah, but and you can take it under advisement. You don't.
No, I'm saying
You don't have to act tonight.
Is it almost like an automatic type of? Yeah.
It's pretty straightforward.
All right, so then I'll recommend that, we don't want to, on right of first refusal, put down, quote unquote, we're all set.
Okay. Motion, second?
Second?
Motion,
Second, yep.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I don't have any minutes for your approval, and there are several bills in front of you to be signed.
Okay.
Other than that, no other business under open session, so I would recommend that the board enter executive session for the following reasons: to review applications for abatement and exemption and classification relative to Purpose 7, Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 60, to review and discuss strategy of pending appellate tax board cases relative to Purposes 3 and 7 of Mass General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 60, because to do so in open session could have a detrimental effect on the board's litigating position, and not to return, and to return to open session afterwards, because you
Okay.
have a couple of applications for abatement that you would recite
Yeah,
your decision in open session.
okay, that's fine. So, I'll make a motion that we,
Can I ask a question on that first?
sure.
Honestly, I would prefer to be in open session, because I've had some miscommunication issues, and we don't have a full board here. We've only got some members.
Well,
I
we,
don't have anything to hide.
at your convenience or whatever, because last week if you'd rather, that's up to you, Steve, Steve, I'm sorry, yeah. If you want the full board here, and this is regarding a 21 application, and we're within the time frame based on requesting an extension? Is this for a 21 application, John?
Mr. Currier has an application. for
Okay, so if you want to wait for the full board, I have no problem with that, whatsoever. It's not something that we, there's been an extension, and it's something that, we can handle down the road, or we can do it tonight. And John, what say ye on the, on open versus executive session at the request of the taxpayer?
I think it's the board's decision, because typically you review applications for abatement
Yeah,
in executive session.
so if we have that option, I have no problem doing it, in open session. I consider myself, based on what we do for a living and such, I have nothing to hide, and, and I'm sure Steve wants it all out on the table, so, so we can, if so be, we can, do the meeting in open session. And if you want to wait for the full board, we can postpone what's coming up in 2 weeks. I know we're getting close to getting ready to rock and roll with the tax rates and such. That's up to John. He's the one on top of this as far as that
It'll
goes.
probably be the only application pending, if you did decide.
Yeah, not like his law. So if you want to wait, Steve,
Yeah, no,
either get it done, either one more time or not. But let me know
well,
right now.
as long, if it's open session and recorded, that's what's most important to me, and then
Yeah.
the other board member can always.
Well, we're probably going to make a decision. Well,
If we go in a private session,
yeah, but then we can't. Once we leave, we're not going to discuss your matter. It's going to be done here. So whatever is presented tonight, then we'll discuss it, and make our decision to get this thing done with.
Yeah.
So in that regards.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of, I don't want there to be any, well.
No, there won't be. I've been doing this too long. There's
If
not.
we're in closed session without it's all left to interpretation, and these things I get nervy, and I'm like, what am I gonna remember? I'd rather have it recorded and all, so, but, with.
Well, the board, so you want to have this meeting tonight because we are going to make a decision and get it done so we can get on with. And I'm not trying to rush you, but here it is, September.
Well,
and,
that's it.
Yeah.
I'd rather not put it off, but if we were gonna have to go into executive session, I would prefer.
Yeah, we'll do open session.
That's
So you want to do it tonight?
Yeah.
And yeah, because she'll have a chance to look at it, but we're not going to discuss, once on next Thursday,
Yeah.
phone call, we don't conduct business that way because we're not supposed to,
Yeah, no,
So, but obviously, we'll handle it as we see fit and fairly, We have no vested interest here, and we want to do what's right, and hopefully, what's right is to satisfy, what you're looking for.
yep, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. That's it. That's commonly done, not so much here in the small town, but when I was up in the big cities, that was, called and extended and worked on, and, and if it's a shopping plaza at 17 million, then we got some work to do. Hopefully, with this case, we can work it out, here tonight or in the near future. It's just that if we're gonna hear, what you have to say, Steve, then it's gonna be, settled at your end tonight, and then we'll, make a decision. And if you want a further appeal, then you can do that.
Right.
So, if you want to handle it tonight, with our meeting, we'll hear what you have to say, and that'll be fine.
Yep,
Is that okay with you?
that's
Good.
fine by me.
Yeah, very good. Appreciate that. Yeah. So, what's the? Do I have a property record card or what? I know we talked about it before in past years. I don't know the address and such, but if you have something I can look at, Sean.
Well, it's a new property. It's not the old one that I had seen you years ago
Yeah.
before. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure, my good man. Always a pleasure. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Give me 1 sec, Steve.
Absolutely.
I keep thinking about, I was thinking about writing an article on it. I was gonna present it to the selectmen in one of our meetings, but it's, when you look at the market, let's forget about yours for a second, if I can vest for the sidebar here for the second. The way the market is now, as you know, it's crazy. There's a little home on West Street that just sold for like $690, a little, and I'm not trying to put that in your direction, I'm just speaking what's going on here. Because of the COVID, if you want to look at anything positive out of that misery, it's the local real estate market. What it did, you probably know what I do for a living, and then I look at this stuff all over the place, it's interesting. But, what it's done is, it's created a lack of inventory in the real estate market. So what does that do? It becomes, with the rates now, what, at 3% or whatever, and we're doing my office, we're doing a lot of, for the Brockton Redevelopment Authority, we're doing a lot of taking work, because they're gonna put around the downtown and in downtown. So we tear this information apart every which way, and you can see, from a starter home for a young couple, or the 18 unit for the 18 unit apartment building. The market has sure done gone crazy. You have stuff like here in town selling 100 grand above asking. This is right now, in the past year, and above asking. Days on market is less than 20, et cetera, et cetera. My point here is that when I was with the city of Brockton, we ran into it in 1990-91, where now the market's gone crazy. It'll probably tail off and head down. So once that happens, when people get their FY23 bill at $1 zillion, it's based on based on now, not going forward.
Exactly.
It's going to create some havoc in as far as the assessors go. In your case, we're dealing for, what year is it? It's a FY21, so it's 1/1/20. It's kind of recent, but not that recent. Going down the road, it's going to be crazy trying to keep up with that. I see, here in our small little town, stuff going way above the asking price, and the brokers are having a field day. So on a valuation issue, sometimes there's not much, depending on the property, there's not much there. If it's based on details of the property, living area and such, maybe there is. It's just that I know here in other towns around us, we're gonna have our work cut out for us going forward based on the COVID. Once the market starts to shift, when people get their bill and go, 800,000, it's not worth a penny over 6, but the value's already, it's 2 years old based on the COVID stuff.
Right.
So,
No, I certainly understand that. It's gotta be previous full year, because you have to
Yeah,
take
it's
a
right.
snapshot of when
It,
everything's
right, it's a set,
consistent.
it's set, right, exactly, it's a set time in the market, which, you know, both good and bad can be troublesome, but that's what we're here for. So,
If you don't mind, could I sit over here, because I've got a few papers that I want.
yeah, sure,
Thank you.
stick it right there in the end seat there, please, no problem.
Thanks for that suggestion, John. Yeah, no, and Steve, I totally understand that, and that's a big part of why it's important to get it right now, because this is the first year, and we are talking about square footage and all.
Right.
And because, you know, as I learned in the past, is that just because you get an abatement 1 year, it doesn't mean it comes through the next year.
Right.
It still has to roll over, and I need to be sure that the data in the system is right, so at least from here, it'll be consistent going forward.
That's a 150% true statement, you know, that obviously the market's a market, you know, and our town doesn't offer a lot of good data regarding sales, but the whole thing is driven on, you know, correct data. Sometimes people, you know, we get your house at 2,000 feet, whether there's 8 rooms or 7 rooms, not really a big deal, but we have to have the square footage kind of correct, the number of baths and all that good stuff. What I will say is that, you know, John does these permits, and, you know, he's an old timer like me. I think I've been doing this since like Abe Lincoln was around, the same, I knew John back in 1980 when I got started.
I've been doing it since George Washington.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you old time you. So, that's, the first thing is that, you know, the data has to be somewhat, you know, not 100% correct, but it's gotta be close in order for us to, you know, move forward and know what we're talking about. If there's a data issue here, that's what this abatement process is for, to listen to what the taxpayer says, and then we send out our main man or whatever, to correct the issue, you know. Believe it or not, people will say, yeah, it's just, and they still won't let us in. That's fine, they can lose their right of appeal and such, but then I say to them that, you know, you gotta start on the foundation, you gotta start with good data, you know. In homes like these, you know, we just did a big subdivision in East Bridgewater, and they're all like these homes, so the sales out there, it might not be right here in West Bridgewater, but there's plenty of them out there, you know, within, you know, reasonable proximity to yours. And, you know, they're pretty straightforward. So the issue here is, I don't have the application, is a data problem on your square feet of living?
It is, it
Okay.
is, and so, and I'm sorry, I got a couple of things here, just.
Yeah, sure.
Figure out where
Yeah,
to
take-
start.
yeah,
But
take your time.
The home itself, we started building in January of 2020. So that's even when the foundation went in, and it wasn't completed here till the beginning of 2021. So that's one.
Well, I don't know if you know, we're a chapter 651 community, and that's a local, the Commonwealth has allowed the assessors, you know, the town, each town individually to adopt chapter 651. Essentially what that does, it allows for the valuation date for the improvement now, the valuation date to move up to July 1st, I'll explain in a second, on any new construction or on any construction that's going to increase the improvement value by 50%. So it'd be for, it's an FY21 case, John?
Yes.
So it would be for 1/1/20, it'd be for, what was there, July 1st of 2020?
A frame,
Okay.
because the construction stopped because of issues with the framing. So we were dead stopped right up into August.
Okay, so you pulled the permit when?
With the permit back in
19?
December of 19, I believe it
Okay.
was.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So,
Yeah,
and,
but that's not even my.
all right, well, yeah, go ahead, so
my
we get
point.
through this.
But I'm just, you know, that's just one point about it. But, so when I got the, you know, when I got the taxes, and first, Cheryl, I want personally, publicly, thank you. I reached
You're
out to
welcome.
you
You're welcome.
for assistance and guidance, and I even ran against you one year.
Yes, you
And
did.
you've always been a
One of
friend.
those guys, Cheryl, huh?
I appreciate it, I
You're
really
welcome.
do, so thank you.
You're welcome.
So, when I got the tax bill, it was $724,500. Now, I'm the smallest house in the neighborhood. You drive in the neighborhood, you're gonna look at these houses, and there's big, beautiful houses. Now, not necessarily the total square footage.
You're talking, you got an assessment of 700,000?
724,500, and it was based on the square footage being 3,688. So in my appeal, I referenced the plans are in the building department. You go there, the square footage is 2,000, I think it's 2,884 if I remember correctly. And, you know, so I said to John, I said, the plans are in the building department. I said, look at the plans, they're right there. You want the finished square footage, there it is. So
So what is, if you don't mind me asking, you know, from the plans or the, what is the GLA on the finished product? Gross living area?
yeah, 2,884, it's what,
Okay, yeah.
they built it to the plans. And I know John had come out and he had measured the foundation previously, but still didn't, the adjustment wasn't made then. And the numbers are close to what they really are, so that wasn't as much of an issue either.
Yeah, we have 2934.
Yeah, so.
Okay, that's close, yeah,
and
okay.
It's closer, so I mean,
Okay.
that's not even the big deal, but I did receive an offer of an abatement, and that offer brought it down to $647,500. Now, that's for 2,934 square feet, okay, so it's slightly more, okay. The land is valued at $195,700. You know, I mean, half of it's wetland, I paid $180 for it, and some of that included.
Move on from
some
that.
work.
Yeah, move on from that.
Okay.
Yeah, we're looking for that, right, I hear you, but we're
But
looking
that-
for the total value, yeah.
But the land goes into the total value, that's why I mentioned land. But the big difference being, so now I've got, it's down to $647,500. I've got neighbors with 2,872 square feet, so, I'm sorry, let me back up. At $647,500, it's $220.69 per living square foot,
Okay, yeah.
okay? I've got a neighbor with 3,594 square feet. His assessment is $657,200. He's only $10,000 more than me, but 600 more square feet. I've got a neighbor at 2872, when he's about 60 square feet difference, he's at 618,900. I mean, I'm $30,000 more than him.
Okay, and how
Why is
about-
everything so different?
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of reasons for that. I'm not familiar with the properties, but, you know, fireplaces, bathroom count, finished basement, not finished basement, grade of the
Finished square
kitchen.
footage is finished square footage. They have fireplaces, they all have fireplaces.
Yeah, they're all built, yeah, okay.
I mean, these are nice homes. These people put more into their homes than I did.
Okay,
It's-
a couple things, Steve, we can move on here, because what happened, I went out and looked at some of those things on Loop Drive, somebody else brought it to our attention, and I just did a quick, you know, I wanted to see what was going on, and if you talk to John, we have, there was some, just what you brought up, there's been some discrepancies, on a little cul-de-sac like that, with, I don't know, what was there, 5 homes or 7 homes or whatever it
7
is?
homes.
Yeah, they should be pretty tight to the vest, and I found out just what you're talking about, some discrepancies regarding, you know, different GLAs, different, you know, close but different assessments. So we have that street under review. Hopefully, you know, John will find the time to correct that for FY '22. So that is on the burner for that one. What concerned me was that your original GLA up at 3,000, whatever you said it was, 800, 3688, yeah. So I'm not sure if it was a system or John needing a pair of glasses that day. So you can be assured, even going forward, we're gonna try to straighten that out. But there is reasons, you know, I'm not sure, well, looking at all of them for the discrepancy. But hopefully they'll all, you know, be pretty tight to each other as far as the assessments goes when John gets done with his, you know, his, if you want to call it, field review. So you're in here for FY '21. The assessment for 21 is $724,500, and that hasn't been acted on, John, right?
No, that's why the application is before the board.
Yeah, no, but it could be like for a second, you know, review. It doesn't, that doesn't mean nothing's been done with it. So nothing's been done with that, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right, so what we'll do, we know about the discrepancy, obviously, in the square footage. We'll take a look at that and work up an abatement for you, that hopefully will be satisfactory.
Well, an abatement was worked up for me. That isn't satisfactory, because I'm talking about the.
What abatement's been worked up for you?
The abatement came in at 647.5.
No,
Which-
that's
which is-
the FY, Steve, that's not an abatement, it's the FY '22 value. It's got nothing to do with FY '21.
John, you sent me an offer after you made the adjustment. What, it was.
That's a proposed assessment for '22. And did you want to lower that for '21?
That would be my recommendation. to
Yeah,
the board.
I'm sorry, that's fine. I'm just trying to say that when he said, I don't remember, you know, talking about, we've gone through a lot of stuff, but I see that for '22, that's why I said that, Steve. Because we're right at the point when we print this card, we have a '22, it hasn't been finalized by the Department of Revenue.
Yeah.
So that's what I was going on. For '22, we have it at that. It didn't mean, you know, for '21, we can abate that down to whatever we want, or not abate it at all and go to court, but we're gonna abate something. So for '22, that's where there was a little miscommunication here. Certainly, that'd be a starting point for us for FY '21. I was, you know, off the line here, but that is the '22 proposed assessment, and I hadn't realized, I'm not sure, you know, I can't remember everything we do here, per se. I didn't realize that was worked up and an offer was made on that. Right, John?
That's correct.
Okay.
It's all in the correspondence.
Okay, yeah, so,
I sent to Mr. Courier, and that the board has discussed in the past.
that's fine, yeah, okay, yeah. So, that's the offer from the board, the 647.
Well, and
500.
that's why I'm here to, what I'm pointing out to you are the discrepancies, not to the 724, these are the discrepancies to the 647. I mean, I've got a house here, 2,872 square feet that are at 618,000. I mean, he's $30,000 less than me, and it's a nicer house, it's got a full attic. I don't even have an attic.
Okay.
I mean, there are little things, like the basement square footage is off because I have an overhang.
Okay. All right, I'll tell you, Steve.
I'll tell you what's really just, honestly, and this is what frustrated me the most about this whole thing, is that the plans were in the building department. Everything's there. And I had gone to the assessor's office and said, the plans are there. You can go off the plans. They don't have them. That's what I was told. I was told multiple times, okay? And then I came for this last one and I said, this is the final extension, okay? Because this back and forth is crazy. The plans are there, the numbers are there. We're talking square footage, right? And then I went upstairs and I saw Karen. She said, drop me the folder. Here are the plans.
Do you have a card on that one he's talking about, the 28, the one?
No.
Okay, yeah. All right, listen, to get through this,
That wasn't part of the application.
no, I just, right, okay, just, you know, but the street, you know, data, we'll take a look at. So, we will, I assure you, we'll take a second look at the FY '21, and the offer was down to the 647. We'll do a little something better for you. We'll take a look at it, work something up, and get back to you.
Well, I appreciate your consideration.
May I read a
And
copy
just,
of my correspondence into the record?
Yep.
Yep.
On Tuesday, August 24th, at 1:07 PM, I sent an email to Mr. Courier to summarize our telephone conversation this morning. Please be advised of the following. When you visited Town Hall on August 13th, I requested a copy of your as-built plans regarding your dwelling located at 6 Luke Drive as part of the application for abatement review process. You affirmatively stated that copies of the as-built plans were filed with the building inspector's office. On that premise, I requested a copy of the as-built plans in writing from the building inspector's office and was subsequently informed that no such plans were on file in that office. I then personally inspected the building inspector's file for 6 Luke Drive. I had a staff member review the inspector's file for 3 Luke Drive because occasionally building permit paperwork is filed by builder lot number versus street address. Because your builder's lot number is lot 3, I had a staff person review the 3 Luke Drive file. During our review, we came across a final 4 occupancy inspection request sheet, which is prepared by the building inspector's office, attached, with 5 conditions listed that needed to be satisfied prior to final approval. The first condition was 2 sets final site as-built, highlighted on the attached inspection request sheet that I attached. As follow-up, the building inspector asked the conservation agent if a set of as-built plans were filed with the Conservation Commission, and to date, no as-built plans have surfaced from either department. In light of these facts, I made a good faith proposal this morning to resolve this matter accordingly. In the absence of any as-built plans, I will rely on my field measurements, which only differ 50 square feet, 2,884 square feet versus 2,934 square feet. From your pre-construction plan, see attached property record card with highlighted square feet. If you concur with the above, I will recommend an abatement of your fiscal 21 assessment from $724,500 to $647,500, $77,000 abatement to the Board of Assessors. This offer is based upon the condition that you agree not to appeal your abatement to the Appellate Tax Board, and I attached a offer sheet, which the board had instructed me previously.
Yes.
Make an offer as long as the taxpayer agrees not to go to the Appellate Tax Board.
That's how we usually conduct our business.
Mr. Currier and I communicated once or twice via email and telephone, and Mr. Currier told me that he wanted to review some of this information, and as of 2 weeks ago, he asked to meet with the board to express his concerns.
So John, if I may ask, you're saying as-built.
Mhm.
So what is the difference with the as-built plans? What would you be looking for different with the as-built than the plans that were in the building inspector's office that the house was built to?
Sometimes a property owner will change their mind as to what they want constructed, so.
Absolutely, on the overages.
So in that
So they'll
as-built,
change.
what specifically were you gonna look for in there? Like, more bedrooms, different, what?
Square footage.
Square footage
Square
and,
footage of the entire house?
and
Okay.
Steve, it just, you know, like you said,
Steve, excuse me.
one second though, one second, all right?
I
Square
really
footage, but
don't
also,
appreciate you continuing to interrupt me, because
Okay.
I have an important point to make right here.
okay, I just wanna, I wanna conduct one, I'll just get it clear that it's square footage, but there's, in answer to your question, John didn't quite cover it, on overages, things can change, like throw an extra half a bath and stuff like that. Go ahead.
Okay, well, all right, so you actually helping there as well?
Yes.
So I got signed off for the home, because I did provide that information to the building inspector. He happened to not print out the email and put it in there. But the as-built that you're talking about, that you happen to find that I didn't have an as-built in there when you looked at the other lot, so boom, all of a sudden you're saying as-built. Do you know what that as-built plan is? Do you?
I'm not here to debate.
No,
I'm not here to
no,
argue.
I'm asking
I'm
you
not
if
going
you
to
know.
respond to you, raising your voice to me and being argumentative. If
Okay.
you wanna have a discussion, I'll have a
Yeah,
discussion.
that's fine. Can you tell me exactly what that as-built plan that you were looking for, what it is?
Can I tell, could you repeat that question? please?
You said that you needed the as-built.
Right, because
Okay.
you were contending that it was different.
Okay, so what the as-built plan is, if you go to the building inspector, the as-built plan isn't the construction of the house. That's not the frame. That's not how many bedrooms or bathrooms are in there. The as-built is what's the size of the foundation and is it located where it's supposed to be? It is, I'm not even sure if I have a copy of it. It's a plot plan. It's a plot plan that shows that the,
I don't need that, thank you.
it's a plot plan that
I'm not
shows
I'm
where
not
the
an
house is
engineer.
located.
Are you an engineer?
It doesn't, excuse me, what's that have to do with anything? I have common sense.
Well,
You're
there's a
telling
difference
me-
between common sense and
excuse
knowing
me,
what you're talking
Excuse
about.
me, you're telling me you were looking for the as-built, so you could do all this. The as-built shows the foundation and where it's located, and it's done by an engineer and signed by an engineer. So I'm not, but the person who did the as-built is. How is this going to tell you what the square footage of my house is, when you already went out and measured the physical foundation? You came up with an excuse because you didn't go look at the plans multiple times.
So as I said,
My issue is,
I'm
you
not
have an
here
assessor
to argue
who's
with
not
you, and I'm
following
not
through
here
and doing his
to
job
have you
properly.
accuse
He's
me of
continued
not
to lie
doing my
to me.
job, which is why you
That's
wanted to
fine.
do this in open session.
That's
so you could-
exactly
So
why.
you could do a little dog and pony show
No,
for the Board of
you
Assessors.
didn't do your job, and that's the point.
So I have
You
nothing
didn't
more
do
to
your
say.
job, and I cannot continue to work with a gentleman who is lying to me, and he has continued to lie to me through the year and coming up with an as-built. It's wrong.
Mr. Chairman,
Yep,
Madam Member, Mr. Courier, I'm not a liar, and I don't appreciate that.
Well, then, don't lie to me. You lied right to my face multiple times, whether you appreciate it or not.
Would you like to step outside and
Don't
settle
do it.
this?
I'm
Would you
sorry.
like to step outside?
John,
I'm
John,
a
John,
gentleman
John,
right
John,
now.
I'm a
John.
gentleman.
No,
John,
you're
I
not.
don't need
If
to
you
do
call
that.
somebody a liar, you're not a gentleman.
No, if you lie to somebody, you're not an honorable gentleman.
We gotta stop the meeting.
yeah.
We gotta put
Are
ourselves.
we done with the
That's
dog
fine.
and pony show, Mr.
That's
Chairman?
fine.
We can't
We
do
are-
this.
yeah,
Somebody get
we
a
are.
drink of water.
That's how I get treated.
Okay,
I
yeah.
know.
And you need to know it, and your full board wasn't here, and I'd rather have a record of it, because he continued to do that to me multiple times, and he doesn't even know what an as-built is,
In your opinion, right, in your opinion.
in my opinion.
I've heard enough, okay? John tries to do the best job he can, like we all do. We have some disagreements, you know, sometimes it happens in this business. It's unfortunate. But I just looked at it, and I'll look at the properties on the street, and we'll see what we can do for you. It's unfortunate this stuff happens, but John doesn't lie. He's trying to do the best job he can. Sometimes these things get you know, out of control a little bit. But I'm gonna tell you one thing right now, right? He goes out and tries to do the best job he can, and, you know, I hear what you're saying on the as-built, that's just the situs versus the plans. He goes out there he gets the square footage, and what the plans don't show sometimes is when the missus or the husband wants the extra half bath thrown in, or the finished basement that are not shown in the plans, that's what we try to do. In this case here, unfortunately, the square footage was almost 1,000 feet off, which concerns me the most. Not when it's got 2 baths or 4 or 3, but the square footage is a big driver of that value.
That's right.
We made you an offer, we'll take a look at it and see what happens. What I don't appreciate is what John had mentioned too, I'm not sure if it was malicious, whatever, to request this in open session and turn it into what it turned into. The principal assessor does an excellent job, and, you know, I've made mistakes, we all have, right? The listing, there was a problem, and we're trying to rectify it. So we will
I
get
don't
back to you
think
and see what we can do for you.
he didn't do that. He's not a liar, Steve, and you know that. I know you better than that. You're not that way, and you should really apologize.
I asked it to be an open session because
I know that.
want it on record, because this is exactly what the man did to me multiple times.
To call the
It's not
gentleman a
that.
liar like that, unfounded,
No.
it really bothers
I
me.
found it, you weren't there. I'm sharing my opinion. I'm not asking you to agree. I'm just telling you my opinion.
But that
And he
isn't
said
the
something
case.
straight
John.
to my
Right.
face.
No,
and
But
I have-
that's
I have
not the
one
case,
more
Steve.
thing.
You know that. That's not the
I-
case.
I don't
You want?
know.
We're gonna put these things
What I
on the
know
record.
is the board doesn't want to listen to one of the citizens.
No, we're
But
listening
I needed
to
to
you.
put this out. There's been enough issues with this assessor.
But that has
How-
nothing
how
to
did
do
you-
with this
How can you sit
case.
there and say that the
You
board
don't
doesn't
care.
want to listen?
Because you're cutting in, and now you're just telling me he's not a liar. This, you weren't there. I am sharing with you.
Mr. Chairman, may I speak,
What happened?
please?
Sure.
If he told me that,
Then we'll be done.
and
What do
you
you
can go
got?
to the building and
Well,
see,
Steve,
he wasn't
let's
asking.
let
for
John
the
say what he
plan.
wants.
To the contrary, Mr. Currier is a liar, and I have proof of that. I have a witness right here. Mr. Currier came to our counter. I asked him for the as-built plans, as the record indicates. He said he was going to go upstairs and get copies of the plans. He went upstairs, he came back downstairs, he said, the plans are up there. I said, okay, why don't you and I go upstairs right now
Mhm.
and look at the plans? And Mr. Currier said, I'm too busy,
No, I didn't.
and left the
Okay,
building,
whatever, okay, yeah,
and left the building.
yeah.
So I sent up one clerk to get copies of the plans to the building inspector's office. She came back downstairs. She reported no plans.
Did she look, or did you get that from Karen or Mike?
She went to the building inspector's office and got that information from the building inspector's office. As my documentation states. I then went upstairs with another clerk, and we went through the files together. And there were no as-built plans, as this gentleman stated there were. And I asked the building inspector if anybody else had plans. He said he would check with the Conservation Commission. So if we're gonna call people liars, look in the mirror,
You
Mr.
can say
Currier.
that all you want, but if you know what an as-built plan is, you wouldn't have been asking for
I
it.
asked you.
And you measured the foundation already. And by the way, that day, you went upstairs yourself, and this young woman wasn't in the office, but you pointed at her desk and says, oh, she must have made a mistake. So check the dates, see who was working that day.
That's another lie, but
Yeah.
I can't prove that.
We'll check the dates.
Oh, we'll get back to you, Steve,
I've had
okay?
enough of you lying to me, buddy.
Okay, we'll get back to you, Steve.
As I
Thank you.
said.
I appreciate your time.
As I said,
Come on,
Steve, John,
Come on.
sit down.
Sit down, John.
You just threaten me like that?
No,
I
he
think I'll
didn't.
have to just go to the police department from
yeah,
now,
yeah, I think you should.
threatening me.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. So,
we're going into executive session now?
we're going to
That's what I had recommended.
Go into
previously.
executive session now.
do we still need to go?
Yes, I have some applications for abatement for the
Okay.
business.
All right, I recommend that we go into executive session for the reasons that John had mentioned earlier, and we will need a roll call vote to go into executive session. I make a motion. Do I have a second?
Second,
Assessor Smith?
yes.
McCarthy, yes. And we will be reconvening into open session.
6:45.
No, sorry, yeah, 6, right.
Close enough.
At this time, we're going to re-enter from executive session back into open session for the Board of Assessors meeting for the purposes of, we went over some abatements and principal assessor. Go ahead.
The board abated applications number 10, number 14, number 15, and number 34 for fiscal year 2021, and application number 10 for fiscal year number 18 as a result of an appellate tax board decision.
Okay, thank you, John. I make a motion
Motion to
to close this meeting. Do I have a second?
Second,
All those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
7:07.
Thank you, West Bridgewater Community TV.